ThatGreatBusinessShow.com is brought to you by De Facto Shaving Oil, the best anyone can get. Made in Ireland, sold worldwide.
Welcome to That Great Business Show, episode 22, posting on the 19th of February 2021. I'm Conal O'Moran, and in the next hour on Ireland's best business podcast, I'll be bringing you our stock and trade. That's business done differently. Top Irish comedian Jason Byrne becomes a tech entrepreneur with the launch of a new comedy app. He'll be telling us why and how in business we have to make our own luck. Laura Dillon, the new boss in Ireland of a Dutch private equity firm, tells us what they're investing in and the sectors they say are ripe for consolidation. And if you're in IT, keep listening. And for swingers, Jerry Foley of XR Concepts wants your money to bring his golf tech to the world's bad golfers and to loads of other sports worldwide. Regular listeners know that Great Business Show makes business fun and accessible, and we're also probably the only self-proclaimed gender-balanced business podcast on the planet. So we're always looking for great women-led businesses to feature. Get in touch with us via our website, LinkedIn, pages, Twitter, etc., etc., if you'd like to be featured. As we remind listeners, we do business differently. This episode is missing one of our women guests, though, due to COVID-related issues. That Great Business Show is brought to you courtesy of De Facto, the Mayo-based shaving oil brand with world ambitions. Founder Tom Murphy is looking for high-energy and knowledgeable distributors around the world to bring the world's best shaving oil to skin worldwide. If you know someone in the shaving or grooming business anywhere, from Tokyo to Tasmania, please tell Tom about them. He's on a mission to build a world brand, one shave at a time.
That Great Business Show.
Now, it is a great pleasure for me to introduce our first guest, Jason Byrne, one of our finest comedians. Thanks to COVID, Jason's stand-up comedy business has fallen down, but in a temporary pivot, that's given Jason, along with tech entrepreneur Brendan Morrissey, the opportunity to build and launch a comedy app called iLaugh. We'll get to that in a moment, but I had a great chat with Jason the other day when he introduced me to a book by Richard Wiseman called The Luck Factor, a book that led indirectly to the iLaugh app. Jason Byrne, welcome to That Great Business Show.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Another podcast. Brilliant.
How many do you do?
I don't know. I must do like 5 a week. they're like everywhere, but it's good.
But as you will end up saying, this is the best business podcast you've ever been on.
I've never seen anything like it. It's been run so well. I don't know how I don't have it every day. I think every other podcast just shut down now.
Thank you very much.
There's no point going on.
You will be back.
Yeah.
iLaugh. How did that come about?
Well, the whole thing with it, so obviously, first of all, you know, I don't consider myself a business person. And then you said, no, I think you are. And I probably am, even though I'm not. Because, you know, in stand-up is very much a business. I have to run that. And I have loads of, you know, skills of...
And it's intense.
It's very intense. Because I'm in the boardroom on my own. I am the director. And I am the workers. And I am the everybody. And so there's nobody to motivate me apart from myself.
You're your own travel agent because you were just telling me off air that you tour the world constantly.
Yeah, we go like all over Britain, all over Australia, New Zealand, you know, Ireland, Europe, like everywhere. Finland, yeah, up in Scandinavia as well.
Tell them what you do up in Finland.
Oh my God, Finland is just amazing. So I gig in Finland and in Sweden because I actually have Swedish family as well there. And in Finland, we did 1,000 kilometers up through Lapland over 10 days. And before I went there, the Finnish guys, my friend Mika, he said, would you like to do a tour of Lapland? And I'd never been to Lapland. I thought Lapland was the town where Santa was from. And it is the town where Santa was from. But Lapland is half of Finland, leading right up into Russia. And I went,
But you went gigging there.
Yeah, we did 1,000 kilometers on snowmobiles. And we gigged in 6 different villages that you could only get to by snowmobile.
And by a village, are we talking about 1,000 people or 1,200?
Yeah, less. Sometimes 400 people. And one guy afterwards, one day after a gig, because it's very dark always in the winter there, after the gig we were outside and we were just having a drink in the cold. And a guy came up to me and he went, I like your comedy. It's very funny. Went, yeah, and he goes, would you like a knife? And I went, what? He goes, I make knives in the forest. And he gave me his address and said, you can come to me tomorrow and collect your knife. And the other lad's like looking at me going, I don't think so, Jason. Don't go to his hut. So I have this constant. I know I'm 49 nearly now, so I've had a massive type of. I've met a lot of people in all different walks of life. Do you know what I mean? Everybody, from people like you, businessmen, like all the way down to very ordinary people who just shovel whatever you want to say. And I've learned a lot from. I'm a good listener. You know what I mean? I always say that. I say that to my children. You know, you should always listen to everybody and listen to what they have to say, and don't ever do the Irish thing of go, oh yeah, no, I know that. Like when someone goes to say something, don't cut them off and go, yeah, no, I know that. No, you don't know that, right?
Because I'm going to cut you off. Because I want to know about iLaugh.
Oh yeah, sorry. This is going to be cut well. So with iLaugh anyway. So the thing was, okay, we're going to summarise this because, and I do like we're going to try and keep the brain steady on one track.
Brendan Morrissey.
Yeah, we're going to get to Brendan Morrissey now in 2 seconds because we need to do this in order. And it's a bit like Ryan Tubridy's brother. Oh my God, he's a neurosurgeon. I've almost forgotten his name. He's going to kill me now. But once I was in Ryan Tubridy's in his house with his brother afterwards, and Ryan Tubridy was telling a story about a guest that was on the show, and his brother was going, "Summarise, Ryan. Summarise. I haven't got time for this shit. Summarise." So I'm going to summarise. So me in Edinburgh one year, about 2 years ago now, I'm sitting with a friend of mine, Colin Cloud. He's a forensic profiler type dude who then went on to do entertainment. I said to him, I don't really want to do stand-up anymore. I'm getting bored of it. And it's 25 years of it. I wanted to go into some sort of, psychotherapy maybe, or, going out and doing like, life chats in a room or whatever you want to call them. And he said, he says, don't give up stand-up. He says, I'm going to give you these 11 books and don't go back to college because you're already, you know how to talk to people. They already know how to listen to you. You know how to engage a room. He says, you're only going to go into college and you'll get about 5 minutes a day of info that you need. So don't do that. Read these books. So then, while this was happening, I met Brendan Morrissey. And he is a tech guru, as we call him. And you can Google him after this because he has a list of different apps that he has. He has Mobster, iHelp, iDyslexic, Here's, iLaugh, like all these things that he does. So he met me while I wanted to do a bit of a change. And he said, well, do you want to do an app? Do you want to do a comedy app? And I went, yes. And I thought that when you do an app, I thought an app was just like a teenager in his mom's bedroom, eating Nutella and making it over a day. And he goes, no, Jason, we need a lot of tech money and we need a lot of work just to be, even a simple swipe up is going to take a lot of money and a lot of tech. So I went, okay. So we need kind of investment. And I never heard about it. I never needed investment. I was just to invest myself. So I never knew that we had to start. And I always thought that investment was a bad thing. That's a begging bowl. And he goes, no, that's how business works, Jason. You need investors to help you, to continue. You can't do it on your own. And you'll also get good advice from certain investors. So I went to this, one of the books I had, this is how this all links in, was I was doing a gig in Newcastle. And while I was doing a gig in Newcastle, we do corporate gigs, which are always a nightmare because they are normally a room full of business heads or whoever they are that don't know the comedy's coming on. All they want to do is get drunk and dance. They don't want to sit there listening to right? So on this night, thank God they did, right? But at the same time, I was reading one of the books that Colin had given me, which was called The Luck Factor. And it's Richard Wiseman. And I was reading through it, and he said a thing which I thought, oh God, that's amazing. He didn't believe that anybody was just lucky, that people are just naturally lucky. He goes, that's not true. That can't be true. So he studied people who thought they were lucky and people who thought they were unlucky. And he studied them and he followed them. And one woman, he says, so do you think you're lucky? And she goes, oh yeah, I'm so lucky, this American woman. And he goes, so you just think you're just naturally lucky? He goes, yeah. He says, well, I've been following you for a year, right? You do 40 to 50 competitions a month. She'd won her own house, her car, cash, everything. And she thought it was luck. Even a lovely story in the book, she's doing a job interview for a completely different job. And she doesn't get the interview because she's concentrating on the coffee, not the mug, but the coffee container. Because on the back of it is a competition for a holiday. And she goes, and the man goes, so how do you think you did? And she goes, can I have that? So he gives it to her and she wins the holiday. So he says you have to make your own luck. And in business, of course, that's he doesn't see that as lucky. That's you just, work in the room, go and step out of your comfort zone. So I was in look school in the book. And I went, okay, so the book said, okay, tonight you have to talk to somebody that you don't know, right? I'm a comedian, I'm on stage, I'm always talking to people I don't know. He meant approach somebody that night and sit with them and talk to them because, you might
Stalk
learn
them.
something. Yeah, a bit of stalking. And I was like, oh no, nightmare, because they're all going to be drunk after this Newcastle gig. So I'm doing a gig for the Great Annual Savings. Bradley Groves is the MD, CEO, owner, everything. And I was talking to him from the stage, lovely, smiley, positive looking fella. So I said, right, I'll talk to him. So afterwards, met with him at his table. He then bought me a drink. He went, oh God, Jason, that was so funny. Thanks a million. His staff all turned out to be lovely people coming over to me going, that was the best gig ever, Jason. You like they kept going, you really saved that Christmas, Jason. We had a great bloody time. That's my Newcastle, which Bradley always hates. So I sat there, and this is where people went, oh, you're so lucky. But it's not, because I sat with Bradley. I made myself sit with Bradley. Then Bradley, liked me and he also seen what I could do. And then he offered me to host 3 different big award ceremonies that he does. Because as I say, he's a big business dude, Great Annual Savings. You can look that up as well. It helps businesses like reduce their costs. That's what he does. And he's done many other stuff before that, like in all sorts of sales and business deals and everything. So he's a big honcho. And he gave me these 3 gigs, and then COVID kicked in and they all crashed. So I was on the phone to him. And he said, look, Jason, if you're ever investing in anything or you need investing, give us a shout. And I went, well, funny enough, I have this thing called iLaugh. And he went, well, give us a bloody look at that. And he invested in it. He invested a good chunk of money into that now. And now Bradley's one of the co-owners of iLaugh with me and Brendan. And also no better man to have in our boat because he knows business. And that's how, and people go, oh, you're so lucky you met Brendan. No, I'm not. I met Brendan because I made myself meet Brendan.
What we call
Bradley
networking.
And Brendan. Yeah, that's called networking, yeah.
Now, you better tell the world what iLaugh is.
Yeah, so iLaugh is an app. It initially, when you look at it, it looks like TikTok and it looks like kind of Instagram. It operates like that. Because we spoke to loads of different heads that were into tech, and Brendan obviously knows loads of people in that area. And they said, don't try and do anything, don't try and invent the wheel. Make sure they can still do that thing with their thumb and that things are quick and they can see stuff. Unfortunately, everything has to be easy for us now. Do you know what I mean? Probably why my dad, who was like a genius at DIY and building electrics, hated phones because they just dumbed everything down. So they said, make sure iLaugh is just a scrolly type thing. So that's what it is. It's like people post funny videos on there and you can scroll through it and anybody can go on there. But the idea, my whole thing I wanted to do, my motivation was that it was a good clean area. So when apps start up like TikTok and all, they initially start off okay, but then sinister stuff starts happening in the background, more weird thing, and they're like, oh, I don't like being there anymore. And then we're worried about where our kids are. So this is running from an office in Kilkenny. We've got guys there that are constantly looking what's been put on there. And if it's anything evil or bad or nasty, we just take it down. We're just going, and well, it doesn't have to be. We're not monks here, separating people from dancing too near. You can still put stuff up that's like dark comedy, but nothing that's nasty. And so that's how that runs. And the other thing in it before the pandemic hit, which is a really good thing, there's an events section in there. And the reason, and this is especially for comedians, they can sell their tickets through iLaugh. And there's a QR code, yeah, I always say that wrong. The QR code there that the punter can use, but it is going to be roughly 50% cheaper to get your tickets through iLaugh.
Why?
Because Ticketmaster charge like a massive amount. And as a comedian, this is all the stuff I didn't even know. Like, you just don't check that. As a comic, you go and do a gig, you go to wherever you go, people buy your tickets, you don't go checking like really deep down like that. But then, of course,
you never, just as a matter of interest, say that you have sold out, say you told me that you had a massive audience at the O2 once upon a time. Would you not do the simple maths in your head to say, I'm getting paid X, and somebody's taking 4 times or 8 times X? So, simple maths. Simple
maths would depress you in the entertainment business. I always said, if you ever went into Dragon's Den as a comic and told them how, your module, they'd be like, sorry, what? Sorry, what? You do the whole gig, and then the promoter takes money, the venue takes money, the Ticketmaster takes money, and then they go and like, it's unbelievable how much stuff that gets taken off us. And it's either you do it or you don't.
And so basically, and I didn't know this, iLaugh is taking on Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
Ticketmaster is a very large corporation.
Yeah, but now they have been, they're pulled up there. I love that, the real Irish attitude now. They're pulled up there recently. Did you see that? About what they're doing, about them charging too much money for tickets. So that's what we're...
But they own the venues as well, aren't they?
No.
Live Nation.
Yeah, but they don't own all the venues.
No, but the big ones, the important ones.
Yeah, but they can't stop us playing. They can't stop. They can't go, you're not playing that venue, because if they start doing that to all the comics, then the punters will know, and then they'll start a war. You know what I mean? They can't do that.
This is the beginning of your Trump era, is it?
I know. I just don't know. I'll never be like that. I mean, God, it must be amazing to be that brave in business. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I should just walk out now, shouldn't I? That's it. I'm out of here.
So what is the business in iLaugh? Where do you make your money, or where does Brendan Morrissey make his money, or where does...
So we all invested into it, and then we brought in, Bradley as a bigger investor, and the idea is to add more and more tech, so we can bring in. So we bring in even more investors. So whatever, it's about 600,000-700,000 in it now, and then on the next round we're going to be looking at about 3 to 5 million, and all of that tech. I never understood, but tech money is massive. I can't. Oh my God, I wish I could remember now. There was a company, one of the tech companies. Oh, we really have to. There's people going to be screaming at me now. But basically, people are investing in it. Hang on, it's Airbnb. Of course we know what it is.
Okay.
Loads of people investors were throwing money at it. And there's no profit in Airbnb. So there's the confusion. In tech, investors want to just keep throwing money at all the tech because their shares get bigger.
Sometimes they come looking for a profit.
Yeah, but this is the Airbnb confusion. And I heard Matt Cooper talk about this, and he was twisted in his seat trying to understand it. And the guy, the social media guy was going, no, there's no profit. He's going, but why the hell would I invest in a company that has no profit? He goes, but your shares go up. So that's the idea. So that's the thing with iLaugh, is that it's good to get advertisement on there eventually, I suppose. But the idea is to just keep getting investors in, getting the tech bigger. Also as well, we're going to be having a thing for the comics that punters can subscribe to that comic, and they can only see what that comic posts, which is like what Patreon do.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing for me, because we've no gigs, no work. We're doing an awful lot of stuff for free.
That must be doing your head in.
Yeah, doing stuff for free.
Well,
Constantly.
the fact that the entire industry is just gone with COVID.
Yeah, and there's two ways of going about it. I mean, there's a way of completely breaking down, getting under the duvet and going, oh my God, what am I going to do? Or I take my dad's attitude, who's passed away now, but he always had the secret of life, which was just don't panic. He never panicked. And I remember the last recession he was out the back in the shed with a fag in his mouth. When Dad's recession, he goes, yeah, that's my 5th recession.
Which is true. Recessions do keep coming up and coming up and coming up.
I remember when my house was 25% interest.
That's right.
And he goes, what is all the running around? All the running around, all the headless chicken.
And even at the moment, given everything, we're down at, 2.5%, 3% on mortgages.
Yeah.
And they did hit back in the 80s, not about 19, 20%.
Yeah, Dad remembers that.
Yeah.
But he didn't panic. And he's never seen a sense in panic. So for me, I have that in me, is that I didn't panic. I started to see how else I could earn money, or at least what I always say is, because I do an awful lot of work with mental health as well.
Which I want to get on to, because that is something very important to us.
Sure. It's about keeping your brain busy. If you sit at home with an idle brain, it's so dangerous. So I just thought, right, as a comic, and because I'm so active as well, physically and mentally, and all comics work on their own and need to, work and do stuff and write and then go to do a gig and move and get in the plane and do the next thing.
No, self-motivation must be massive.
It is massive, yes. So you've got to keep on top of that. You've got to keep on top of that. And the answer is not getting under the duvet or hitting the wine. Don't do either of those things, because that's just going to destroy your brain. So I started getting on Facebook Live, and I started doing live training. Because I do training, I couldn't go to the gym anymore. So I let everybody join in. I had people...
Oh, sorry, you're doing kind of push-ups and stuff.
Just whatever.
Oh, I thought you were training them in public speaking, because you also do a bit of that as well, don't you?
Yeah, this was just me training live, just doing like fitness. And they were all joining in from all over the world, a bit like Joe Wicks.
Get away.
Yeah, just having a bit of a laugh, just to show that I'm still there.
Are you doing that?
I'll be doing one of them tomorrow morning, actually.
That is Friday morning. By the time this posts, that'll be too late.
Yeah, don't worry.
But if anybody wants to join in, are you going to do these? Are you doing these regularly?
All they got to do is keep an eye on my Facebook and on my Instagram, and you'll see me do it. So every Sunday I do Jason Byrne Sunday check-in, which is another just me and all my fans just hop on. A lot of them live on their own. So I do that just as a mental health check-in. And we just have a laugh. I just talk and they text me. And we have such a laugh. I know a lot of them now. And then
when you say all over the world, literally?
Australia, New Zealand, Canada, India. I do a lot of gigs in India. And we should talk, I'll get to that in a minute, but that's just insane. The Indians are very like Irish people. They are identical. They live the same way. They have 360 million gods. We have a saint for every day. And our mothers go and pray for us, and their mothers go and pray for them. And the mother always runs the household, and their mother runs the household. It's very funny. So when I was on stage, nearly everything I was saying was exactly the same in Mumbai. It's just like, yes, they do. Yes, our mother chases us with a slipper and beats us. I'm going, yes, oh my God, this is brilliant. So lovely connection. So they're all on as well from in Mumbai. They click on and we talk to them. So what I started to do was I was doing that. Then I wrote little sketches and I was putting them up online. And because I did all that, and this is another good business thing as well, I suppose, I did all that stuff. And because I did that just before, Christmas, companies started asking me, could I maybe jump onto a Zoom and entertain maybe 20 or 30 of them? And so I started to get bits of work from that.
And I was going to say, you want to get paid for those.
I got paid for them, yeah.
Yeah.
Started to get paid for them. Like
a lot of people think, or appear to think, that you are there just to entertain them for free.
Yeah, a lot of them do think that. Actually, one person sent a message saying the one good thing about COVID, Jason, is we got all your stuff for free now. And I was like furious going, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. So, but Fall Earners and Hog are like probably the best business comedy machine you'll ever see. So their advice, they said to me, put up some free stuff and then make them pay for other stuff. So right now, that's what iLaugh is hopefully going to be able to do.
And iLaugh launched when?
We launched it in January.
So it's brand new.
It's brand new. But I don't like to say we're going up against TikTok and Instagram because what I'm trying to do is create the first ever comedy app. So if you think, I want to look at some comedy, I'll go to iLaugh.
Yeah.
You see, you can go to Facebook, but it's not all comedy.
Yeah.
You have to kind of find it. And Instagram. And then TikTok is the same now. You have to scroll past some mad stuff.
You've already said that anybody can post their comedy on there.
Yeah.
What about the big names? Or can you seduce them in?
How we're going to seduce them in is by the subscription stuff. Because I've spoken to a few lads going, do you want to join up? And they're going, oh, yeah, I might. Yeah, I will.
Come on, name names. Everybody wants to know who.
Well, John Bishop's already in there. John's in there. Des Bishop's in there. But they're all saying, they're exhausted posting up stuff for nothing.
Yeah.
So I said, well, look, we're trying to get a subscription thing going where, let's say you put up one free video and then the next video is blurred and they have to, they'll pay a €2 subscription, which will unblur that video just for them. And they're going, yeah, well, I would join then. Because the whole world is shit. I don't know when we're going to get back into full-on venues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
TV is still working fine, but this is going to hopefully help. And this will also help comedians that are they don't play big rooms. They play small rooms. And what's going to happen over these couple of years is that their crowd is quite small and their crowd will fizzle off. And a lot of them will have to start from all over again. But this way is a good way of the world seeing your comedy and getting paid for it. I mean, I have to have them being paid.
And whose idea was it? Was it you, Brendan, or...
Me and Brendan.
Yeah?
Me and Brendan together. Yeah, Brendan taught me...
We should talk a little bit more about Brendan because he is a fascinating... I had never come across him. And amongst the other things that he's done in the past is he has played the guitar with Guns N' Roses, for example.
Yes, he did, but he wasn't in Guns N' Roses. I think he played with them. But it was My Little Funhouse was the Irish band.
Yeah.
That's what he was in. And he was they were very successful. They did great in the States. And then Brendan just started clicking into tech. He just started looking into it, almost the way I have now. I mean, I didn't know anything about tech, and now I know a lot of how it works and how...
expensive.
Holy Mary. What do you mean? How can it cost €100,000 to put that little dot up the top there? And he's going, it's just... Jason, it's got endless, codes and endless people putting in different, algorithms and codes and all sorts of carry on. So it's very... very techy, very tough, very techy.
You said maybe 10 minutes ago or something like that, is that this might announce the end of your gigging.
Well, the iLaugh?
Yeah.
Well, I'm 49 now. And I remember listening to
Billy
Frank...
Connolly must be 149.
Yeah, I know, but watch how he gigs, though. He doesn't gig a lot.
Yeah.
He only gigs here and there and now and again when he wants.
He's very ill at the moment. So
He is very ill at the moment, but for many years he's only done that.
Yeah.
But Billy's thing is he loves travelling. So he's an old hippie. So he loves getting back to Australia, New Zealand, but he'll do, only like 5 or 6 nights there. And then he's off travelling around again. So I definitely I'll never fully stop gigging because I love the audience. It's a great feeling making a whole room laugh. You're on your own. Can you imagine? You're on your own there, But I
can make people cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that. Not great. But there is an amazing...
You're going to fall in love with tech now and you're going to become an Elon Musk type.
Well, I don't know about him.
Oh, one of those lads.
I've no interest in space. And I really don't want... I wish he'd take that bloody screen out of those cars. It's too big. It's really annoying.
It is big.
I'm going, what are you doing? But I think he does that on purpose just to annoy everyone. Going, yeah, look at my big screen. But I'm loving the way... I'm always interested in how things work. But I'm loving the business end. I've never met a massive investor like Bradley Groves. I never knew how that world worked.
You should explain exactly how wealthy he is.
Jesus Christ.
I
think the way I just said that.
Well, you and I were chatting about him. He is very, very wealthy.
Yeah, but I would love you to get him on here somehow on a Zoom or whatever. My God.
Bradley Groves, you are now invited.
Yeah, he has got some fantastic knowledge of business. And he's always on the go. And he turned around. Spennymoor is the town he's from. And it was all run down. And he went in and he bought the football team, did up the grounds. They are stunning, the grounds. Brought the team way up through the leagues. Bought a pub there. He started up an academy with 700 children. He pays for everything. Does it all himself. And he doesn't make any money off that.
Now, he has made a lot of money. So if you can make a lot of money out of iLaugh, what's the next tech toy that you're going to make?
The next, sorry?
Tech toy or the next tech.
Oh, the next tech toy?
Or your app.
That's completely not iLaugh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You must have, you're sitting in the bath or in the shower or whatever and you're thinking about these things.
I think what I would be good at, because I've seen I think the public speaking would be a good thing. Do you know what I mean? Tips on how to do that. And that I'll have my own masterclass. Because I've seen masterclass and I've seen lots of people on there, and they just do one big spiel. But I'd love to be there, and teach people in their business how to do it. And they can basically, log in and latch into me and I'll work out a way. I don't even know how I do it yet.
Well, I'm going to introduce you to David Nihill. And David Nihill was on one of the previous That Great Business shows. And that is a lot of what he does, except he does it in Silicon Valley.
Jesus.
And you and he, I think, could get on famously. Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely be ringing him after this. Because that's something I was asked to do in the past on a flight from Australia. He was like the head of EA gaming sports thing in Australia. And he asked me, was I coming back to Australia soon? I wasn't back for a year. And he went, oh no, Jace, you could come in, you could teach them all how to speak. He goes, it's EA games, you know what I mean? It's supposed to be like exciting. He goes, most of them are shit. They don't even know what they're saying. I mean, I'm listening to them for 20 minutes and I'm going after 5. You know what I mean? So he goes, just throwing humour in is just a great idea.
But can you teach it?
No, but you don't have to. You could have a look at what they're going to say. Have a look at their script. You could put it in. I don't think you can teach stand up. Like you go there now and do 20 minutes. I've seen that trying to be taught, and yes, it works for a little while, but they just kind of peter off. They're not able for the thing about stand up. It's not only the content, it's the consistent, constant go and motivation you need behind stand up. You can't stop. You have to. It's like a train that just will not stop.
Because once you've done your gigs for a half a year or a year, it's all in the bin and it all starts again.
You got to write it all over again, all brand new. Nobody gives a crap about the old album. You know what I mean? They want, and because comedy and gags, if you know the ending to a gag or a story, you're not going to find it as funny because you'll know what's coming. And it's the opposite for bands, because bands go on and they sing their new stuff, and you're in the crowd going, "Oh, not the new stuff." God's sake, like Duran Duran, you know what I mean? Go do the old stuff, not the new. We've made a new album. When you hear that at a gig,
your heart drops.
Oh, Jesus Christ! They've made a new album. And with comedy, I did a gig once, and it was, oh my God! I think I said one line, and a guy went, "I think I heard that last year." I heard from the audience. I was going, "Are you serious? I've just said said it without thinking. I thought it was funny, and they go, "Oh my god!" And he just went, and it was Australia as well. He goes, "I'm sorry, Jace." So yeah, and the idea with iLaugh as well: get more investors and then sell it.
Cool.
That's a cool one.
So you want investors, TeamGBS, that's us, that great business show. They might have money to invest in this.
Good.
Yeah. So how much money do you need?
3 to 5 million.
Okay. We'll organise that.
Well, Brendan always knows how much we need, and but which I didn't understand was the maths that once once the investment goes in. See, I've never seen this. The price of the company goes up. An investment goes in, it goes like that, and I'm going, "Oh, this
but
is
there's
good."
a reason for that, because if
The maths.
just imagine a house and you put 7 million quid into the fridge.
Yes.
Well, the house is worth the value of the house plus the 7 million quid in the fridge.
I know.
And then people say, that's a special house. So we'll add another 2 million to that,
Yeah.
to the price. Come here to me before we let you go. We have a little thing called Hire in a Heartbeat, where you're going to tell me somebody that you would hire for any team or for whatever you're doing in a heartbeat.
Okay, so hang on. In a heart. Oh my God. I suppose it's going to. Well, see, I don't want to be saying Brendan. This has to be someone that we haven't
Could
heard
be
yet.
anybody. No. Could be Brendan. Could be Bradley.
Well, unfortunately, I would have said my dad.
But there you go. But that's fine.
I would have said my dad.
Why?
He's not around anymore, because if you want calm advice in any walks of life, everybody he met all the time just went, "Oh my God, I love your dad. That stuff he just told me. That's
cool.
Exactly how I'm going to approach everything."
Yeah. And unfortunately, your dad passed a year ago.
Yeah, Wednesday. This Wednesday is the year. It's 24th of February, day before my birthday, which is also very Irish, because my mum is on the 25th, so am I. And she was going, "I can't believe your father did this to us. It's my birthday." Isn't that brilliant? And I go, "Ma'am, he didn't die on purpose." And just to say, because people always want to know, it wasn't the COVID. Dad was 81. He had a stroke. He was told endless times, by the way, if anybody's listening, "Don't be smoking. Stop smoking." And Dad was like, "Oh, not at all. I'll be grand." And then he had a stroke. He was very lucky in a way that he had a stroke and he died in 2 days. So he didn't have to go through the horrific stuff. But so
Now,
Dad.
sorry, final question, because I must make sure to include this. Your mental health stuff, so important.
Yes.
You have a podcast.
Yeah, I'd love people to click onto this. It's on Spotify and iTunes, and it's called Mind Your Loaf. We've done 2 series, myself and Mar, and we also work. The podcast is in a website called turntome.ie, and that's turn as a number 2, me.ie, and that's an Irish website where you can get free counselling online, because counselling, as we know, costs a fortune. I mean, I'm in counselling. Jesus Christ, I have to knock it on the head sometimes. But so it's free counselling online, and there's peer groups on there. And if anybody's not feeling great, it's totally anonymous as well. But you can knock onto the old Mind Your Loaf. And funny enough, we're going to be looking for sponsorship for that for our 3rd series.
Good.
So we're going to be shouting out for people for that too. But that's a really good one. People have found a lot of help in there. And there's a lot of different topics, from grief to luck. So you'll find something.
Well, the VHI or Leia or somebody should be sponsoring that.
Yeah, I mean, that's who
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would definitely be approaching them. And we have, we've had such amazing people on there. Such great advice.
From around the world, isn't it?
Yeah, all around the world. From the Dominican Republic to Dublin.
If I asked you to show me the Dominican Republic on a map, would you be able to show it to me?
Yeah, because I had to look it up before I interviewed Sarah Knight. Sarah Knight is the one I interviewed, and she owns the books. You have to say the word, it's fuck down. That's the book, but it's asterisks out. She's like a world top seller. She lives in the Dominican Republic, which is just under Cuba.
There you go. You learn everything on That Great Business Show. That is Jason Byrne. Jason, thank you so much for joining us on That Great Business Show.
Well, look, thanks for having me, and remember, we're not all just lucky naturally.
It's all go, let Cursey know on thatgreatbusinessshow.com.
Laura Dillon is the relatively new boss of the Dublin office of Waterland, a Dutch-based private equity firm. Waterland recently raised another €2.5 billion in funds to continue what they call their buy and build strategy. I've looked through the Waterland portfolio, and to say it's eclectic is, well, at least true. They have investments in riding stables, gyms, debt collection firms, live events, and they've even invested in a company that does something called incinerator bottom ash treatment. The good news for Laura Dillon is that I won't be asking her about that one, but I do want to know what Waterland wants in Ireland and how much of that 2.5 billion they'd like to spend here. Welcome to That Great Business Show, Laura.
Thank you very much, Conal, and very nice to chat to you today.
2.5 billion, and that's only just one of the funds raised, because this is number 8, I think. It's a big fund. It's a big operation.
That's correct. Waterland's been around for 21 years, and this is our 8th fund. So we raise on average, maybe every third year or so. And in terms of how much we want to spend in Ireland, we want to spend as much as we can find good companies to back here.
And what is a good company?
For us, so we're a private equity investor. So we look to invest and partner with established Irish companies that are already generating good profits. We typically say maybe north of 2.5 million of profit, already generating good cash flows, but ultimately that they want to expand faster than they can maybe do from the resources that they have today. So from our perspective, we're not a seed investor, we're not a venture capital investor, we're a later stage private equity investor where we partner with established up and running companies that are maybe family owned, they're maybe have multiple shareholders in them, and we look to partner with those existing businesses to grow them faster than they could do by themselves.
And one of the nice things about you, your bit of history, is that you went through that process yourself with a family business.
Exactly. So I've kind of come full circle, I would say, at this point.
The odd one, actually, because normally, well, at least to my understanding, it normally does go the other way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. My poor father still says, will I not just get a steady pensionable job? But, I've come from a chemical engineering background, worked in advisory. Then I actually worked in private equity before, in 2010, in the last recession, founding my own healthcare distribution company with my father as the chairman. Dad was 70 at the time and I got him out of retirement. But I've had the pleasure of kind of founding, starting, being able to grow a company, then being able to exit it. And now I've come back in to be on the investor side again and really partner with and help those people to grow. And I suppose it's interesting that I've kind of seen the entrepreneur side and now I'm back on the investor side.
And one of the things that you told me was that when you sold your little baby, it hurt.
Yeah.
Well, it mightn't have done the bank balance any harm, but I mean, you didn't really want to give it up.
It's I think when you've started something, right, you've invested so much time and mental emotional thoughts into it. So it's definitely the hardest I've ever worked, founding my own company. It's given me a huge amount of respect and empathy for all entrepreneurs, be it sole traders, people that run shops, right through to people that run big corporates. I mean, I think it's the hardest that you will ever work.
Did you not understand that before?
I think I was a little bit naive beforehand, to be perfectly honest. I'd invested in companies, I'd advised companies, but I think when you're suddenly the one who's, having to make sure you meet monthly cash flows, meet monthly payrolls, having to call customers to make sure you're getting paid, brings a whole new level of reality to everything. Beforehand it was an Excel spreadsheet. Suddenly now it was me putting personal guarantees on the line.
Ouch. It can be a big ouch. Those people listening to the podcast and who hear 2.5 million profits and all may say, well, that's just too big for us. However, you do keep an eye on all sectors and you know where the hot sectors are. I have no idea at all, and maybe you don't either, about that German riding stables company that Waterland. Do you know anything at all about that one?
Yeah, so
that's really fascinating. I'm thinking that's a very strange investment. That sounds like a kind of a private company, the kind of thing that wouldn't attract your kind of money.
3 years ago, our Danish team invested behind Andreas, who is the entrepreneur. He's an Olympian, very passionate about dressage and horse riding. And ultimately, we partnered with Andreas to really help him grow Helge Strand, or we've recently renamed it to Global Equestrian Group, to build that into a successful global equestrian business where we've now expanded it into Germany and the US. It was originally focused on dressage horses up in the Nordics, and we really want to build that into a global equestrian business.
You've only recently joined Waterland. How come you know so much about that particular one? I actually didn't expect you to know anything at all about it.
Yeah, I suppose Waterland, very much the ethos is one firm. So the €2.5 billion fund, we all invest out of that same fund. every week I'm talking to my other partners and principals about the companies that we're talking to. And, nearly on a daily basis, I'll be talking to colleagues in our, 9 other European countries, 10 offices. So very much the ethos is working together. Hopefully there's going to be some Irish equestrian businesses that we may be able to partner with.
Well, I'm going to be very unfair to you now, since you've now kind of set me a challenge. What does that incinerator bottom ash treatment company do?
Blue Phoenix. So Blue Phoenix basically takes a lot of the bottom ash, I suppose, and tries to make sure that turns into another product that we can ultimately resell. So we treat it and then ultimately resell it as well. So it's part of the whole waste and recycling. We've invested in quite a few waste and recycling businesses throughout continental Europe, and this was the next stage, I suppose, of that. So it's, I suppose,
all your stuff, don't
a waste to energy business in some respect.
I know, again, nothing at all about your academic background, but except that you were or trained as a chemical engineer. Tell the truth now. Did you come first in the class or something?
Let's just say I was always reasonably studious, but I think
you did.
Definitely didn't come first in the class. No.
Okay.
But I do still very much, enjoy the experiences that engineering taught me. And indeed, even last week, I was speaking to one of my old professors.
Tell me about businesses that actually excite you and that you would be really attracted to if you saw that they might come in through your door. Yeah,
I think it's an interesting one, Conal. For me, it's much more about the management teams and the people that we're going to be backing. I think I can get excited about most businesses. Coming from an engineering background, I like things that are tangible. I like things that make things, engineering, manufacturing, right through to companies that are more making things efficient. So technology businesses. So we will invest right across the spectrum. And I think for me, it's about businesses where there's fragmented markets, where we feel that Waterland's buy and build strategy can really help smaller companies to come together to make it into much bigger than the sum of the parts. So when we talk about 2.5 million for companies that make that as a profit, that's for the platform company. We will then invest in much smaller businesses and add them in or bolt them onto a much bigger company. So basically for me, I get excited about engineering manufacturing companies. I get excited about IT services companies. Of course, coming from kind of pharma, it's clearly something that I think there's a lot of opportunities around medtech pharma. But indeed, increasingly, we're seeing a lot of Irish companies that are providing services into data centres, which are really growing strongly. And for me, it's about being able to work with and partner with entrepreneurs, business owners, families to help them really achieve their aspirations of growing their businesses into much bigger companies that will leave a long-term legacy for Ireland.
Okay, so you have your platform company. Now you are looking for the bolt-ons. How small would you go for a bolt-on? Could be
maybe 100,000 of profit or something.
Okay, that's more approachable.
Yeah.
Because on that Great Business Show, we obviously talk to the SMEs, and this is Irish SMEs, which are very different to the German SME, which is a much, much bigger animal. Tell me of the ones that you would like to talk to. So, because I think you did mention to me that IT is set for consolidation.
Yeah, what I would say is we have about 60 companies in our portfolio at the moment. So literally, it could be a good match for a business that I'm going to partner with in Ireland, or it could be a good match with a business that we already have in our portfolio across Europe. So some of those businesses could be, childcare facilities, right through to IT services companies. Could be waste and recycling businesses. So we literally, at the moment, and on our website, you'll see that we have a very broad portfolio.
Very, very broad.
We are generalists. We'll look at systems integrators. We'll look at consulting businesses. We're very happy taking human capital risk where there's just pure people businesses.
You've got to get into podcasting. It's the future.
What do we think? It's really about having the right people. It's having businesses that are already growing. They're in a market where there is growth. We like growth markets. We like businesses that are in fragmented markets, but really where there's people who are doing something that we feel is quite distinctive. And we as the investors then, we want to be there in the background. We want to be supporting. We'll help drive additional M&A and bolt-ons. We'll help with strategy. We'll attend monthly board meetings. But we're very much in the back seats, providing additional resources and capital to help the entrepreneurs grow.
Laura, I've little bit of background in finance, and I can tell you that everybody says that we're in the background.
Yeah.
The truth is that you're looking at your own bottom line because you've got to make money, and you will kick little bottoms to make sure that they are performing, so you don't sit in the background.
Well, we want to make sure that the business plans are being delivered on. So you're dead right, Conal. And, in some instances, things will have to change in order to make sure that we get back onto plan.
What do you like to deal with on that one? I'm looking at your eyes there and saying, oh, Jesus, she's evil.
I don't know. You should talk to my father, who I had a business with, right? I think, hey, we're want to be very supportive, but yes, we're in the business of taking risks and we're in the business of making decisions, I suppose. So,
you're also in the business of getting a return. And what kind of return do you expect? What's the average that you might want per annum or over a lifetime of investment?
So we will typically, when we look at it partnering or investing in a company, we will look at that on a kind of 5-year period. We sometimes hold businesses for 10 years or even more, but our average investment period is 5 to 7 years. And we're not a bank, right? We invest in equity. We partner and invest pari passu with the other equity holders in the business. I haven't
heard pari passu for a long time.
So different people have different views on this, and some want to have seniority and stuff. We feel that we should be directly on the same terms as the other shareholders in the business. And yes, we do look for strong returns. We look for businesses that have strong growth, where ultimately we can put a small amount of bank debt into. We invest in the equity, and we invest in other businesses, or indeed, maybe it's sales and marketing, maybe it's a new factory that's required to produce more products. So we will look to generate good returns for our investors and for the business owners.
I'm waiting for the engineer to tell me, give me a number. Strong returns can mean different things to different folk.
Yeah. So, we will look to achieve kind of, I suppose, somewhere around 20-25% returns on our capital.
Over what period?
So on an annual basis. So
you're looking for 25% per annum.
Oh, over the long term, yes.
Okay, that's very strong.
It's it's the private equity. So it's typical private equity model. Yeah.
So therefore, because it's aggressive, very aggressive, actually. And I don't mean you, but one can have failures.
Sometimes we can have failures. I think COVID has transitioned and changed some business models. So yes, I mean, some of the businesses that we have in our portfolio have been badly impacted by COVID. We've got an online travel business. I think that model has completely changed. We've got restaurants in our portfolio. So I think, yes, but we're all pragmatic and we understand that sometimes there can be failures. But then it's about very much trying to say, okay, well, what do we do given now the world we live in and the circumstances that we're in? How can we make the best of the situation that we are in?
You said on the bolt-ons, and again, that will pique the interest of people listening to this podcast, is that did you tell me that you leave the management there? So therefore, if I own an IT business and I sell to you, I put your money into my back pocket, but I can stay on managing the business.
So it very much depends on the type of deal structure and what the management teams want. So we typically are happy for existing shareholders to de-risk a little bit, cash out, take some money off the table. We do typically like our management teams and founders of companies to be partners with us and also retain ownership in the business. If it's a smaller add-on acquisition, then I think it very much depends. Does that management team want to stay in the business or do they want to exit? And ultimately, is there a role? Is the business going to be large enough in order to be able to have multiple management teams in there or not? So for smaller companies, it depends on whether it's a new technology coming into a bigger business where we need to grow that out over time, or whether it's really a tuck-in into the core business where maybe it doesn't make sense to have duplication of roles.
So what other sectors in Ireland are you keeping a very close eye on? Yeah.
I think at the moment we're definitely keeping a very close eye on the core sectors that are large here. So that very much means, IT technology is a big focus for us at the moment.
Because what you're looking for there are companies that are integrators, as you mentioned, and that you think that they could become very large integrators across Europe?
Yeah, I think we would ideally like to, and this is where we feel we're quite well positioned here. We've got an Irish team on the ground here. There's 4 of us in Waterland, Ireland, but we've got, another 80 colleagues in another 9 European countries. So we very much feel that we want to build great Irish businesses headquartered here, but that can scale internationally throughout Europe. So we think that IT companies are well positioned for that. We think services into pharmaceuticals and data centres are very well positioned as well.
What kind of work into the data centres? That's something I don't understand.
There's quite a lot of engineering work that's been going into data centres. There's a lot of construction going into them.
You're not talking about the sandwich sellers into them, or
no? We're talking about some of the some of the equipment that is quite specialised, that is quite engineering technology driven. But Ireland has really built a niche in it. We're doing a lot of European data centre construction as well, some modular construction. I think there's a lot of interesting Irish companies there. But literally, there's a lot of recycling and waste businesses that are very good Irish businesses, and we've obviously invested, throughout Europe in that sector with Blue Phoenix, and Atero was a prior business. So I think we do feel that markets that, make sense to consolidate across borders are where we can add a lot of value to management teams. And that can literally be from, healthcare facilities. We have a very large healthcare group called Median in Germany. And just prior to Christmas there, we acquired the Priory in the UK, which is another large healthcare business. And
very famous one as well.
Exactly, quite a famous one. So now that will be, a business that, is very strong in Germany, but now very strong in the UK as well.
And you can cross borders like that. Are you consolidating systems, or I know nothing at all about the Priory management, for example, but I'm imagining in my own head that's just going to be very different to a German management approach.
There will definitely be nuances, and there will be country-specific opportunities, but there can be purchasing synergies. There can be quite a lot of opportunities to implement best practice across borders. Indeed, in Ireland, we actually own a nursing home business here, and increasingly we are seeing some of the large elderly care providers from France and continental Europe coming in and buying healthcare and nursing homes in Ireland. So I agree, it's not necessarily the most obvious one, but increasingly there are benefits of scale across some of those large
and every
sectors.
Nursing home owner outside of Dublin, because I know something about this, and that I know that the financials are very different inside and outside the pale, they're all picking up their ears and they're saying, that's fantastic. They want to buy my very small nursing home. Are you interested in that? Or would you pick up, I don't know, a 20 unit or a 40 unit nursing home? Or are you looking for bigger, much bigger?
Typically kind of, I suppose, I'm not dead sure of the exact numbers, but maybe 70 to 90 beds is kind of a good size for a nursing home business. Some people are building much larger ones. I think there's a new 210 bed or so being built in Dublin. Very, very small nursing homes, I think, are going to be difficult in the future with increasing regulation and I suppose just the fixed costs that you need to operate in a regulated environment. So very small, I think, is challenging. However, I think medium-sized ones are very good because they're boutique. They can give very, very high quality care to residents. And I think increasingly people want to make sure that their parents and loved ones are very much in an environment where they can get the right level of attention.
What business would attract you out of private equity? In other words, that you would quit and you'd say, God, I'd love to run that business. Doesn't matter what it is. It's one thing that people should know about you is that you're an avid sailor, that you were an Olympian.
I never went to the Olympics, but I'm a very passionate sailor and I've sailed very competitively right since, my parents luckily had a boat when I was 1 and 2 and I kept it on.
If somebody had a sailing business, would that attract you? Say, good luck, Waterland, I'm out of here. In fact, probably heading for Waterland in a different way.
Oh, well, it's interesting. I've kept the whole aqua theme, Waterland. I think for me, actually, I think what I've learned is I like to keep my hobbies and my sport separate to my professional career. So whilst I'm very, very passionate about sailing, I really like to keep that as my weekend hobby and for my holidays, I suppose. So I don't think I'd ever want to work in the industry. I think for me, what would attract me out of private equity, I suppose, at the moment, I feel I've got the best of both worlds. I've got to set up...
You have to say that because they're listening all over Europe.
But I get to set up a small new team in Ireland. So I get the benefits of starting a new business effectively, but then having the diversification of being able to partner with and work with a lot of businesses, hopefully in due course across Ireland, to help them grow and be successful. So I think, hey, I really enjoyed running and setting up my own business. Hardest I've ever worked, but I think it's so rewarding as well, So
across Europe, they're saying, she's on the DOS. They probably don't use those words because if she's worked really hard on her own business, she's obviously put her feet up now.
I think we all know, hey, the last year has been interesting times, I suppose, and we're certainly working very hard to try and get our message out there, but really find Irish companies that we're the right partner for. And why I say that, Conal, is we're not the right partner for everybody. There's a lot of businesses out there where we don't feel we can really help them to grow a lot faster than they could do by themselves. But I think there are other interesting potential sources of capital or partners for them. But I think there are many companies out there, it's not going to be indefinite. I think, if we could do a couple of investments every year, that would be great. And I think it's very much about trying to figure out who we can help, but then also, through each conversation that we're having, I think there's either, that could be good for us, or hey, you should chat to those guys because these guys could really help you. So I think the Irish way of, connecting and making those connections, I think is really powerful.
So we have this little section called Hire in a Heartbeat. Who would you hire in a heartbeat to join your team, either in Waterland or on this business that you're going to head off to run somewhere else?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, right? Clearly, there's lots of phenomenal business people who I think I have huge respect for. Some of whom I've been lucky to have as mentors. But I think and it's a testament to him. I think it'd be my father again. Dad has now turned 80. When he was 70, I got him into business with our small healthcare distribution business. And now, luckily, he's still an advisor to me. Nearly every company I ask him about throughout, no matter which county in Ireland it's in, Dad knows something about them. So I think, luckily I don't have to pay him, but he still gives me great advice.
Mr. Dillon, it is Mr. Dillon.
Mr. Frank Dillon.
Frank Dillon, you're about to be dragged out of retirement again.
Every time I make a suggestion about something, he says, Laura, I'm not working anymore,
That's Laura Dillon of Waterland. And if anybody wants to contact you, it's very simple. It is Waterland. You're down on which road on Dublin there? Yeah,
we're currently on Mount Street. We're going to be moving to Fitzwilliam Square, hopefully. But I would say, my contact details are on our website, waterland.ie. So I'm Dillon at waterland.ie, and very happy to chat to all business owners, entrepreneurs, and hopefully I can help. And hopefully we could maybe do some business together.
Laura, thanks very much for joining us on That Great Business Show.
Thank you very much.
Subscribe today to That Great Business Show on your favourite podcast platform, including Apple and Spotify.
That Great Business Show, Ireland's best business podcast, is made possible through the support of That Great Irish Shaving Oil De Facto. Made in Mayo, sold around the world, they're on a mission to become the #1 shaving oil brand in the world. Help them achieve that ambition by buying it today on defactoshave.com. And I better announce the winner of the Cool Swan promo that we had on episode 21. And that package is won by David Dowling, I think, of Cronin Movers in Dublin 15. And he joined us on the GBS, That Great Business Show, LinkedIn page. And that company is, because I looked them up, they're into workplace and machinery relocation. Cronin Movers, David Dowling, the winner. So we'll be in touch with you, David Dowling.
This could be your ad on thatgreatbusinessshow.com. That Great Business Show.
Now, my next guest, Jerry Foley, studied computer science in Trinity College at a time when the internet literally didn't exist. Since then, he's worked with the Revenue Commissioners, the Bank of Ireland, and he has founded a handful of companies in different sectors. So, a true entrepreneur. Through all of this, his real passion was, and is, golf. Not that he's good at golf, he just likes golf. So much so that his latest company, 2-year-old XOR Concepts, is hoping to teach bad golfers to be great using a technology that he hopes will be applicable across a large number of other sports. XR Concepts is a participant in the Trinity College Dublin's Tangent. That's the Alcessor-backed AI accelerator that we featured previously on That Great Business Show. 10 participants have been chosen for the 5-month accelerator program designed to support global early-stage AI companies at prototype or proof of concept phase. Jerry, welcome to That Great Business Show.
Thank you, Connell. My pleasure and lovely to meet you.
The people at Tangent used the word, which I avoided, that you're a bleeding edge. What's bleeding edge of XR Concepts?
Well, the bleeding edge, I suppose, for us is that we're using some of the latest and emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence, and we're applying that to your golf game to help people improve and even to make good golfers play a little bit better, not just bad golfers to improve.
What does it do?
So essentially, what we're about is giving people automated feedback on their technique. So if you pick up your golf club and you're practicing, either through virtual reality, which could be a headset, or just by using your mobile smartphone, we will give you automatic feedback on your technique and then make recommendations as to how you can improve and potentially even list the number of drills that you can work on to make you a better player.
So you take a video of me with the smartphone doing my drive or whatever, and then
sorry to interrupt.
The shorts game.
The initial focus is short game.
Okay, and for non-golfers, that means up on the green and
really well. Short game is about 100 yards in. We're leaving out putting at the moment, so we're starting really from about 100 yards in to the short chip shots, and then you get on the green and putt. We'll do putting and driving in due course.
Guess who doesn't know his golf? So you take a video of me, and then is there somebody screaming at me down the phone saying, I give it up, or for God's sake, would you do better? Or
not quite. We'll be very encouraging. We'll basically compare your swing and technique with a range of different professionals and identify which is the best technique for you. So let's just say, for argument's sake, say you might be overweight, you're not, but let's just say you are. You could be in your 60s or late 50s. You're not as nimble or as flexible as Rory McIlroy or Tiger Woods, so there's not much point in...
I do my Pilates, I'll tell you. I'm as flexible as...
I can see you do, but not everybody is. So we'll basically identify a particular pro or a particular technique that we feel is the best fit for you. And over time, our technology, I suppose our software will just get smarter, and that's where the artificial intelligence kicks in. We'll keep it very simple. We don't want the technology to confuse people. It's got to be very simple, and obviously it has to work. We want to cut shots from your game and make you a better player so you'll enjoy it more.
And people have to pay for this, I presume.
Yeah, people will. Yeah, nothing good is for free, unfortunately. We may start, or when we launch, we may have a freemium model just to get people into the product and excited by it. But yeah, ultimately we will be charging.
And the world market for this is?
The world market is big. Golf globally has about 60 million players. It's possibly gone up in the last year with COVID.
Interesting that you say that, because we had Enpro there. They make headgear for rugby players, and I was checking out the world market for rugby. It's only 8 million, would you believe?
Really?
Yeah. So
yeah,
you are at
small.
60 million. That's
60 million between the UK and Ireland. If you include social golfers who are not club members but play, you've probably got about 4 to 5 million players. The United States is closer to 25 million. Japan is probably in the region of 17 million, and China is booming. I'd say it's in excess of 20 million. So the game is big, and there's certainly plenty of opportunity in it. It's a competitive marketplace, but we're doing something that's really interesting and will work.
You said that. I love the little bit, it will work. Like, I'm positive that somebody else has tried this before.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a bit of competition out there. There's not as much competition using the technologies we're using. That doesn't give us any guarantee for success, but we're very confident that the way we're approaching it and the people we're working with, we have a world-class short game coach working with us, a guy who's Gary Smith. He's arguably one of the best short game coaches in the world.
And what is he doing for you or with you? Does
He's really the subject matter expert. So we're distilling his teaching philosophy, his approach, which he's basically picked up coaching the game for almost 50 years. And he's worked with some of the best players in the world, Danny Willett, Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood. And Gary has literally spent thousands of hours studying what makes the best players in the world better at short game. And we're going to take that expertise, wrap some software and tech around it, and deliver that to people.
Now,
on
you're already up and running
basis.
for 2 years, I was reading. What have you been doing?
Well,
where's the product?
Yeah, it's taken time. I mean, we've spent quite a bit of time doing market validation, looking at different technologies, trying to figure out what's the best way to build this and
Because
deliver.
that XR does stand for something.
Yeah, XR stands for extended reality. And extended reality is basically a mix of virtual reality, augmented reality. We've probably introduced what they say in business terms as a small pivot. About a year ago, we started looking seriously
We love a pivot.
at the whole area of artificial intelligence. And by applying the technologies within that to what we're doing, we believe we're going to deliver a much better offering in the long run.
And that is
And
why
one that
you
will
are on
last.
that Alcelsor program,
Absolutely.
because that is all about AI.
Totally. And it's a great, it just started about a month ago, but we're being exposed really to some world-class people, which is fantastic. You can only soak it all up and learn a lot. I'm a technology guy by background.
I have to ask you this. What were you were in Trinity now. I won't name dates.
Yeah, don't go back.
But what the hell could you have been studying in computer science back some years ago, quite some years ago?
Yeah, well, actually, we got very close to machine language. We were almost down at zeros and ones, which is where it still is. It's binary, it's digital. We would have worked with IBM Assembler, which is literally a couple of steps away. So
You must have been one of the earliest into this area, were you?
there were people ahead of me, but it was still, I mean, the mainframes were massive. There was a lot of development. I mean, COBOL is still practically in every global 500 company out there. I would have done a lot of programming in COBOL. There's a lot of code, legacy systems still there. So while it is kind of a little bit historic, it still drives a lot of major systems all over the world.
The good news for investors is, because I'm jumping from COBOL to golf ball, like that.
That's why I'm in it.
And you're actually trying to raise some funds.
Yeah, we're actually just going through with myself and my co-founder, Dermot Fahy. We're just going through a process now. We're looking at the level of funds we need to raise. We're getting some financial advice on that. We're learning through, obviously, the Alcelsor program as well and speaking to some of the people there. So we hope to make a decision in terms of the fundraising within the next few weeks. And then we're going to market. And
Well, come on, tell us, what do you think? Will you need 1 million, 5 million?
I think it'll be under 5.
Okay.
But it could be 1 million, it could be more. Might be slightly less. So it's all about...
And I presume you'd love what we call wise money. So there's a lad called McElroy, he's from Hollywood and County Down. He might be the kind of guy who might be listening to this.
Yeah.
And he might just say, I understand what you're doing.
Yeah, well, that'd be great. And certainly if Mr. McElroy, Rory is feel free to reach out to us.
If he's looking for 1 million, I'd call him Mr. McElroy. He might approve of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I suppose, to be fair to Mr. McElroy, he wants to get more people playing the game. He wants kids to play it better. And that's great to see. And we'll certainly get more people playing the game. And I think we will help the people that are considering giving it up because they just can't perform.
Come here to me. I've just had this thought, which is the way my mind works.
Yeah.
If everybody, now I know if everybody, but which is not going to happen, if everybody adopted your XR concept and used it, and if everybody dropped, say, 3 or 4 shots each, there's no win for anybody. Like, you're not getting ahead of the opposition, are you?
Yeah, but probably everybody won't. So I just get in there quick and take advantage and maybe win a few more prizes.
So all of these millions and millions of players, your business model is going to be a SaaS model, or is it going to be...
Yeah, we're looking at a SaaS model. We're also focusing very much on a B2B opportunities, but we're certainly looking in time selling directly to consumers and to golfers. So we plan to work with golf professionals and golf teachers.
That sounds like a very slow sell.
Well, we hope not. We've certainly had a very positive response. I mean, we've done quite a bit of market validation. We've we've either surveyed online or interviewed directly 200 golfers close to it, including some golf professionals. We've had a great response to what we're planning to do. Several of the pros said they would sell it. So we've more work to do, but we're very encouraged by the feedback. And I suppose that's part of the journey we've been on. It takes time to do that.
Yeah, but that's the problem, isn't it? It is a slow sell. But I'm intrigued now about the pros. Are you not going to do them out of work?
No, not at all. In fact, I think if you look at a typical golf club, as many as 80 or 90% of golfers really don't take lessons. Certainly not regular lessons. So there's a huge portion of that market that's really untapped for the pro. They're buying golf equipment, they're buying balls, they're buying gloves, but they're not taking regular lessons, and we believe we can help with that. And also, it takes time to get to scratch in the game.
I'm going to get to your game in a second.
Well,
there's a big bus coming down ahead for you.
Before you get to my game, it definitely takes time to get your handicap down.
Yeah.
So we can teach and remind people of a lot of the key fundamentals in the game and the little variations for different shots. And then the pro can obviously come in and help out with some of the maybe tougher things.
How good is your game?
It should be better. I have ranged in my lifetime from about a 16 to a 19 handicap, which isn't great, to be fair.
Well, I'm wondering, if you're using this XR concept, have you not managed to knock a few shots off? That's a trick question.
Yeah,
how can you answer this?
And it's a fair question, but as they say, practice makes perfect, and I don't practice enough. I have to say, when I did my first golf teaching products, just an interesting little story.
But you've got a big history here.
Well, yeah, I've done a few golf training products before. Collectively, they've sold about 150,000 units around the world, which is pretty significant. We didn't make a load of money out of it because margins were tight. But I remember when I did the first one, it was a CD-ROM back in the mid-late 90s, and I hadn't hit a golf ball.
We're going to have to give a history lesson about all of this stuff. People listening say, a CD-ROM, what the heck is he talking about? Is that a golf term?
Well, I know, it's going back a bit, but when I played my first game of golf, not having practiced hit a ball, I almost broke 80 down in Rosslare. And so it just shows you, if you soak in the knowledge that we can deliver, it will definitely help your game.
Your Alcessor program in Trinity is going to last 5 months.
Yeah.
When are you going to launch your product?
We're aiming to launch during the final quarter of this year.
That's soon, actually.
We've working on actually 2 MVPs at the moment. We've a
minimum viable product.
Yeah, I should have said
I'm
that.
I'm going to whip people if they start using acronyms. I used to have that back in the day.
My apologies. Minimum viable product, which is similar to a prototype, which will demonstrate the capabilities of what we're doing.
I wonder why they changed it to MVP from prototype.
Yeah, and actually
tells a story, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I think an MVP is a bit more advanced, but don't ask me to explain the difference, Connell. So we will have a mobile as well as a VR headset version very shortly, literally within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
And if you're going to start going down the headset, I mean, isn't the technology there changing so rapidly?
Yeah.
Like if you design it for today's, it'll be gone tomorrow.
Yeah, but a lot of the software, the way we'll approach this is just getting the technology that we can easily adapt it to different platforms. So the underlying engine, if you like, can be brought into different product offerings.
Would you not be better off going down to Nike or down to one of the games companies, PlayStation, or one of those companies, EA Sports, somebody like that, and just say, here's an idea for you, give us a few million, good luck?
Yeah, maybe.
And then you could go and practice your...
We're very definite about we're not building a game. And certainly the games companies are very focused on that sector. I'm not saying we wouldn't talk to them in due course, but we're really about teaching people how to play better. And
have you any patentable product, any IP that you're going to protect yourselves with?
We believe we will have protectable IP. I can't say definitively we have it yet, but we have engaged.
Have you applied?
We haven't, and we haven't applied for a patent. And I think that will take a little bit of time because
and money.
we need to time and money, and we need to do more work on it. But we have consulted with IP experts. And the initial response to what we're doing, and it's really the components we're putting together, could give us protection and maybe a patent. So great if we can achieve that.
Happy days.
Happy, it adds value for sure.
Okay, so you need your money and you need it now, million
Soon.
plus.
Yeah.
And you're going to announce that in maybe 2-3 weeks, and you're going to have something on the market. No, not on the market, but something tangible in 6 months, maybe?
Ideally, it's very tight.
That's what I would have thought.
If to be fair, if that slipped to the beginning of next year, so be it. It's about getting it right, getting the product right. So personally, Dermot mightn't agree with me, whether it's final quarter of this year or early next year. As long as the product is right and we're ready to launch and everything is in place, then we'll put it out.
Have you run your numbers? How much money can you make out of all of this? Can you make a ton of money?
Yeah, we could do very well. Yeah, I mean,
there's a nice smile on your face there, and a little glint in the eye.
We could do. To be really honest, we have to build a world-class product. There's a lot of competition in this space. We believe we will deliver a world-class product, and on the basis we do that, yeah, we could do pretty well. Yeah.
Final question.
No guarantees. Sorry for interrupting. Yeah.
No, but that's business anyway, isn't it? I was going to ask you a little section here about hire in a heartbeat. Who would you hire in a heartbeat to join your team?
If I could mention one name.
You can mention 10 names if you want.
Okay, well, I'll mention one because I spoke to him many years ago and he kind of encapsulated what we're trying to do, although we might never achieve it. He's no longer with us, Bob Torrance, world-class golf coach, Sam Torrance's dad. Used to coach Porrick Harrington. He told me once he could teach anybody to play off scratch, and that's just inspirational, and he believed it. And Bob was coaching, I'd say, up to the day he died. And if we can do a little bit of that, we're well on track. I believe we've got the equivalent of Bob and Gary Smith on the short game, but a world-class long game coach would be great to have aboard.
That sounds all right, and that's maybe there's somebody listening as well who might want to join your team.
Yeah, we'd be delighted to.
Especially if they open up the checkbook.
For sure.
That's Jerry Foley of XR Concepts. The plural there. Have we got more things coming down the track?
We're very focused on golf, but certainly the technology and the IP we're developing, we believe will be applicable to other sports, and particularly equipment-based sports. Hurling, yeah.
Wexford Hurlers.
Absolutely. Many years ago, I did the official coaching products for the GA and hurling and football, so I'd be happy to.
You have a really interesting CV that if anybody's going to have a chat with you about funding, you really have done a lot of stuff in that area, haven't you?
Yeah. No, well, thanks. And now is the time to make it pay.
Good man, Jerry. That is Jerry Foley, as I mentioned, of XR Concepts. And that is also it from That Great Business Show, episode 22. Our thanks, as usual, to the incredible sound team here at the Dublin South FM podcast studios. Keith Stars was on duty today, and Peter Rice will continue the good work overnight, ready for posting Ireland's best podcast. Brendan Morrissey via Andrew McAdam at Microsoft lined up Jason Byrne, and thanks to Oina Phelan at Tangent in Trinity College for finding us Jerry Foley. As usual, if you know any great businesses that deserve to be highlighted on thatgreatbusinessshow.com, go straight to the website and share their story. And I have to give our pals down at Wexford Preserves, who were on That Great Business Show previously, a shout out for sending us their new pink grapefruit marmalade to try. It is gorgeous. And the even better news is 50% of the profits from each jar goes to the ever-deserving Mary Keating Foundation. And finally, our thanks to our sponsor, De Facto Shave. Try their world's best shaving oil for a week, and I swear you will never go back to the horrid old shaving foam. Buy it online now and tell me what you think. From me, Conal O'Moran. We'll talk next week on That Great Business Show.